And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We're happy to be with you inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Great Lakes Honda City coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You will find them Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Get in touch with them today to find your next ride. New and used vehicles, the Honda Pilot, the CRV, the Passport, the HRV, the Ridgeline, the Accord, and so on and so forth, available at Great Lakes Honda City while supplies last. You could find out what's currently on the lot by going to greatlakeshondacity.com. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life, I want to thank you for being with us up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, the West Coast, and all around the globe. You will find us here on Wake Up Call on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt, on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, and on facebook.com/wakeupcalldt. So however you're connected with the show today, thank you so much for tuning in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. I am here with you on a Monday, which means it's Murph time. DT and Murphy coming to you every single Monday on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And here on this Easter Monday, I want to welcome you to the broadcast, as Murph and I will be having a conversation about the world of NIL. And so these are all coming up later on in the week, these pieces that you saw here. But Murph and I are going to be talking about NIL here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. And in this NIL conversation, we will be jumping into a lot of different things. We'll be talking about name, image, and likeness, the transfer portal, how NIL and the transfer portal are being used together when they're supposed to be being used separately. So we'll discuss all of that. And we'll talk about the quarterback carousel, because if you look at strictly quarterbacks alone, it's insane what's already happening for this upcoming 2025-26 season in collegiate athletics. So we'll get into all of that here with Murph on Wake Up Call. And of course, we're very happy for you to be here with us, where sports truly meets that thing called life. And so with that being said, I bring in Murph to the broadcast picture-in-picture here. And before we go anywhere in our conversation, it is incredibly important for me to wish you all a very happy Easter. Not only do I want to wish you a happy Easter, I'd like to say a little prayer. So, in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, amen. God, I thank you today that you remind us of a risen Lord. You remind us of the impossible. You remind us that hope can make the impossible possible. You remind us that everything we're going through today is not that bad. If Jesus could be perfect, if Jesus could come to this world, be God in man, and walk this earth, perform miracles, be good, be kind, be courteous, do all the things that we should aspire to do, and then be treated like a criminal, stoned, crown of thorns on his head, spit on, called names, yelled at, whipped, beaten, then nailed to a cross and left to die in the sun. If perfection can be treated so poorly, then help us to know that when we follow you and we do good, to not stop when the stones come, to not stop when the thorns come, to not stop when the yelling and the anger and the mean names come, to keep walking the path, to keep trusting in you, to keep following you, to not let distractions take us from the kingdom of heaven, to not let distractions keep us from what we truly seek in our lives. May we seek you, may we seek love, may we seek good. May we be kind. May we treat others the way we want to be treated. God, may Easter be a reminder that heaven is not that far away. May Easter be a reminder that being good is the right thing to do every time. May Easter be a reminder that no matter how bad our life looks right now, it will turn around. It will get better. If Jesus can rise from the dead, then we can rise from our pain. We can rise from our sins. We can rise from destruction. We can rise from everything that is set against us, because you reminded us that no weapon formed against us shall prosper. So please, God, keep us strong, keep us safe, protect us, guide us, guard us. May we follow your will over our want. And may everything that we dream of, everything that we want, and everything we aspire to, may we achieve far greater, far better, beyond our wildest dreams. God, you have been so good to me. Please Please remind us of our blessings. Keep us strong, keep us safe, and please help us all to be the best that we can be. I can't say enough words of gratitude and thankfulness and sorrow for the moments where I didn't appreciate. So God, please guard us, guide us, lead us, help us, love us, and don't ever give up on us. And for Pope Francis, right after Easter, to find out of his passing, please take care of him. Please lead him into the gates of heaven. And please give us someone to lead this church, to lead this faith that is truly devout to you above all, that serves you and not the world. Thank you for everything. Thank you for loving us. Thank you for reminding us that the impossible is possible and that good will always prevail. The devil has lost. And God, you've won. Let's celebrate today. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. With that being said, we welcome you into this broadcast of Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and also, once again, remind you all that this morning is a morning where we remember Pope Francis. And it's interesting how things happen, Murph. It's interesting how God works. In my life, that my father and I have never been to Italy, and now we will be going to the Vatican, as the Vatican will be looking for a new pope. So this is a very unique time. It is a unique situation, and my dad and I will be living through a unique experience on top of a unique experience, because people visit the Vatican all year long, but how many visit the Vatican when the church is trying to find their next leader? So I pray that Pope Francis is safe and sound in heaven, and that as we go forward here, that we find something good through all of this confusion, and that the right decisions are made in the church to find our next leader. So it's a unique morning, Murph. It's a appreciative morning, and it's also a morning that we celebrate the life of Pope Francis, and we pray that the church finds where to go from here. So, with that being said, I welcome you into the show on a very unique morning, on an Easter Monday, and an Easter Monday, like I said, that is now looking at where to go from here.
And happy Easter to you too, my friend, and to all of you out there. It was. I don't want to say surprising, because we knew he was in failing health, and the Pope was not doing well, and obviously we saw him. Vice President Vance was there at the Vatican yesterday to greet him and pray with him, and he was able to speak to the parishioners out in the courtyard of the Vatican, and he said a prayer with them, and you figured, you kind of thought all was well, like, because we've been hearing that his health has been getting better. So, the hope was that he was doing a lot better. Obviously, that was not the case. Yeah. But, Pope Francis is a person that, even before he became Pope, just looking and reading some articles that I saw this morning, and just in remembrance of him, really was somebody who took care of the less fortunate, took care of the poor. He didn't live in luxury. He didn't live in the luxurious papal estate. He lived in one of the, modest little guest houses at the Vatican. And, he chose his papal name after St. Francis of Assisi, who took care of the poor in his lifetime. And it's really honorable to see what he did. Obviously, there were some things that he did during his papacy and said that I didn't necessarily agree with as a lifelong Catholic. But you still got to respect the official capacity of the Pope and the papacy. And I just hope that whoever the Cardinals choose in the conclave to be the next pope, um, continues to lead the Catholic Church in a positive way. And
Yeah.
it'll be cool for you. I don't know if you're going to be there. I doubt you'll be there when they choose the next pope because I think sometimes it can take a few weeks for them to choose the pope during the conclave. Um, but I'm sure it'll be cool to see it. I'm sure you wish you would have been able to see Pope Francis while you were there. But I'm still sure that that's going to be an amazing trip for you.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to go to Italy for the first time, go to the Vatican for the first time, and experience something that is very unique. Like I said, that a lot of people don't get to experience, which is the conclave coming together to choose a pope. They all meet, they stay within the confines of their meeting area until we see smoke come out of the chimney, and that smoke is supposed to indicate,
The white smoke.
yeah, the smoke to indicate, hey, we've chosen. So, it is sad to be in this moment, and like you said, a pope that had some different views than Pope John Paul II, who a lot of people have come to know, and definitely was kind of getting into worldly things, but ultimately, each pope tries to make their mark. Pope Francis did the things that he thought were the right things to do in the moment, and each pope has made decisions over time. And so, as we step forward, I think it's really important. I mean, the world that we live in today, Murph, we've been called to have to figure a lot of things out. And in figuring things out, it's not easy, right? It's not easy in today's world to simply put a blanket policy over a lot of things. And it's also not, we're not living in a world where we could just open the door and let anything through. So leadership is going to be incredibly important to the Catholic Church, and identifying what God intended the church to be and reflecting on that and how you can get back to that. The church has made its mistakes. There's been moments of strife, and now it's time to turn to God in a world that desperately needs it. Catholicism is supposed to be a beacon of hope and a beacon of light and a place to feel safe. So, there's a lot of things, growing up, certain things just seem simple. And now as an adult, I feel like when I'm talking about something, the simplest things are like these complex Rubik's cubes, and they don't need to be. The Catholic Church is supposed to be a place of sanctity and safety. It's supposed to be a place where you can go and get closer to God. It is supposed to be a bridge to God, and we need to work toward that. The things that are taught in Catholicism, the things that are reflected on in the Bible, are really important. And, I'm going to say something about the Bible that I realized. In the first few pages of the Bible, there was advice from thousands of years ago that affected me right now perfectly in the moment. So, for those of you that think, oh, this is just some made up fictional book, the advice in the Bible is literally the stuff that you'll see at Kohl's and at J.C. Penney and on all your T-shirts that people think somebody just made up. Oh, Kim Kardashian said it. No, the Bible legitimately has advice for every situation in your life. It's uncanny how well the Bible can guide you from thousands and thousands of years ago. And I'm going to read one thing, Murph, before we get started in the sports world here, because people have forgotten what this means, and this word is thrown around all over the place. This word is commonly misused. And so I am going to read this to you this morning. This is from 1 Corinthians, and it is one that we know very well, except for the fact that most people don't follow it, or they follow parts of it when it suits them, or they ask for it, but they do not give it. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not love does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. Love gets thrown around a lot, Murph. We hear that term all the time. Oh, I love it. I love her. I love him. I love sneakers. I love that team. But how often, Murph, do we follow the definition of love? And on today, as we remember the life of Pope Francis, may we remember to live in love as well.
Yeah, and you don't see that all that often, and I mean that's I mean just kind of harp back on your point about how the Bible can kind of um, you know give you advice in any aspect. It absolutely can. It doesn't matter if you're reading from the Old Testament, from the book of Isaiah or Psalms or whatever it is, all the way up until the book of Revelations at the end of the Bible. It doesn't matter what you're going through in life. There's always some sort of advice that you can get from the Bible. And, for me, I probably don't appreciate that enough, and I probably should. Um, but it's something that can help anybody in any aspect of their life, no matter what the situation, because, they knew, God and the prophets, they all knew where, people might need us or might need each other. Right. And those books in the Bible are kind of are evidence of that. And honestly, based on if somebody's never read the Bible, if they sit down and do it, if there's any doubt that the story of creationism and the origin of with Adam and Eve and everything, if anybody believes that that's not true, I don't know what to tell you. I really don't, because they're they talk about wanting to have you need to have like a scientific explanation for everything, right? Who created Adam and Eve? Who created this and that? Who created God? Well, they're obviously, yes, everything has to come from somewhere, but God was always here before anything. So seeing, the story of Adam and Eve and how, in the book of Genesis, how God created the heavens and the earth in 7 days, or in 6 days and rested on the seventh. It's what if people don't believe that based on certain things that happen, I don't know what to tell you, because you can't explain like the Big Bang Theory. You can't explain that. You can explain creationism.
Yeah.
So for me, I've always believed in that, and I don't, you know, I've always believed in that, and I always think that that will always be what I believe in, and I believe that after this life there will be, eternal life for everybody.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just reading stuff here this morning, and I want to really take some time to thank Google for not celebrating Easter, since they celebrated every other holiday and every fake thing that's been created over the last few years. It's interesting to me, the attack on God that we have in this country. And I've told you this before, Murph, and it's held true. The more that we have attacked God, and the more that we have gone against God, and the more that we have pushed God out of society, the quicker and faster America has fallen. And it parallels so well. When I was a kid, Columbine, that school shooting was stuck in our brains. every year we remembered that day. Now there's school shootings every other week, every couple of weeks. Just had something at Florida State. And you look at society then and you look at society now and you say, how? How are there, there was one school shooting and it made the whole country stop, and now it's a normalcy. We look at society's disrespect of God. Let's take God off the money. Let's take God out of schools. Let's stop talking about God. And what has happened to this country? People don't want to admit it, but the reality of it all is when you take God out of society, when you shun God, when you hide God, when you distance yourself from God, the darkness grows. And this country is where it is right now because of its disrespect, disregard, and discrediting of Jesus's life, the Holy Spirit, God. We have, as a country, I don't want to say we because I'm not a part of this, but this country has focused itself on likes, followers, sex, drugs, power, prestige, notoriety. I mean, you look at the 7 deadly sins: lust, gluttony. I mean, Murph, we're living in a time where the United States of America has chosen sin over God. And I ask people why they're surprised that when they wake up in the morning, they feel a little less safe.
It's sad. It really is. And this is also the reason why we will never have an American Pope, I think, is in part of what this country stands for these days. And we also went from having the second Catholic president in the history of our country who basically took God out of everything and completely disregarded anything that the Bible or the Catholic Church believes in. And now, obviously, I'm not sure what branch of Christianity President Trump is, but
I think it's evangelical right now. Something
I don't know if it was that or if it was Lutheran or one of those, but he brings it back as you should. And there's no one saying that, obviously in I think it was the era of like King Henry when you had the separation of church and state in England. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing, but you still need to keep it. You still want to keep it together, and because the world's better off because of it. And it doesn't matter what anybody says, people will always believe, and that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and we've seen it in sports. I might have been your town weirdo for talking about God, but I never stopped. And then Riley Leonard started doing it. Will Howard started doing it. Teams started praying together. Angel Reese put out something about God. Pat Mahomes puts out stuff about God. Russell Wilson puts out stuff about God. Robert Griffin III constantly puts out messages about God. And now people are like, oh, well, there's people with enough followers, so maybe I should like God because it's trending. And I'm happy that God is being reflected again in big places. But God likes quiet spaces. God never said, go outside, preach it, throw it in everybody's face. He said, if you believe in me, because there's people, Murph, let's face it, there's people that believe in God, air quotes, and they put it on social media. Look at me. Look at how nice I am. Look at how kind I am. Look at how sweet I am. Look at all the godly things that I'm doing. Look at me at church. I love God. I know someone who used to post every time he went to church, and then he would tell me how he has sex with married women. And I would say to myself,
that's real good.
On social media, you're this person that promotes faith, but in your life, you swear, you degrade, you defame, and you abuse, and you enjoy it. and it's something that I find funny is that someone will treat you extremely poorly, not apologize, totally disrespect you, and then they put up a God post. And not only do they put up a God post, they want to know why you don't like it. Because I know who you are. And that's reality to me. You can say whatever you want to say on social media, but in the comfort of your own home, what type of human being are you? Do you forgive? Are you conscious of your actions? Do you care? Do you give what you expect? Do you honor other people? Do you love? There's so much selfishness in this world, but people put up a post about how much they love God and they think that that's going to exonerate them. God doesn't care about what people on Facebook think. God cares about who you are. And when you don't know who you are, you're willing to do anything. But some people, I've realized this the really hard way, some people only show their God when they're trying to get followers, clicks, likes, a job, a relationship. That's when they show, ooh, I love God. But you know when it's really, really hard to love God? When it doesn't make sense. When nothing coming from God is something that you necessarily agree with. When it's hard, when it's tough, when you have an upset stomach, when you have a headache, when you don't know if you're going in the right direction. When you've screwed up and you feel bad and you're trying to make right on things. It's really, really difficult to keep going in a direction that you feel like is the right direction when God is saying, follow me, and stuff is coming at you. Everybody wants to talk about how awesome God is when life is good, and they want to talk about how awesome God is when they think that people are going to pat them on the back. But I didn't get baptized for likes and clicks. I didn't get a confirmation for likes and clicks. I didn't go to church for likes and clicks. In all honesty, I got the opposite, I felt at times. Being baptized, being confirmed, being in the church, going to church on Sundays. You know, when I went to church yesterday, I didn't take any pictures. And I also didn't try to find a seat. I got into church. I stood in the back. And then when the chairs came out, they gave me one. They didn't have to. Give it to somebody else. I could sit on the floor. I knelt on the floor. That's fine. But see, when I went to church yesterday, I went to church for God. I went to church to say thank you. I went to church because I have been lost. I have been confused. I have been sad. I have been downtrodden. I've been hurt. I went to church yesterday so that God can remind me who he is and I can revere in his goodness. I didn't go to church to FaceTime and tell the people of the world what it's like to love Jesus. Because, call me crazy, Murph, but I think the people that really love Jesus are the ones that just do it. They don't do it for the gram, so to speak.
Oh, for sure. Because the ones that are just posting about it, I feel like are just disingenuous. It, you know, do I think they don't believe in it? No, I think they do, but I also think that there is an ulterior motive behind what they're doing. Especially if they are somebody that is, coming back from some sort of a scandal or something like that, where they're trying to get, more people to follow them and whatnot. It just happens, and it's sad to see, but it is what it is. Just people are going to be like that.
Yeah, that's the world sometimes. And I mean, my biggest thing is I share my love. I share my connection to God. And what I find to be really, really tough, Murph, is I will share things that are about God, and I'll get a private message sent to me about negativity and hate, either toward me or toward God. And if you can take a message of love and gratitude and gratefulness for God and you can pick on somebody or hate somebody over it, like that to me is just, it's wild. It's absolutely wild to me that God is a weapon to some people. And so this morning, as we honor Pope Francis, and this morning as we honor the risen Christ, May we remember that if you can't keep it locked down for 24 hours to celebrate Jesus, then you need some prayer. If you can't be nice for 24 hours at a time where we're supposed to be self-reflective, I don't know what to tell people anymore. I really don't. I love God dearly. I appreciate God more than I can say. And God knows your heart, God knows who you are, and God knows your why. And unfortunately, not everybody sees it. But if you can go to sleep at night and you can say to God, hey, I made mistakes, I've sinned, I haven't been the best that I need to be sometimes, but I apologize, I try, I cry, I work to do better, and I always try to come through. None of us are going to be perfect. And what do they say? Let the person without sin cast the first stone. But it's just one of those things where, Easter to me felt different this year because I've just learned things about this world that I really, really am sad about. But Jesus says, fix your eyes on me, right? You got to fix your eyes on the Lord and know who the King is. So I know that, we started off this show talking about a lot of different stuff than sports, but if I've learned anything over the past few weeks, Murph, it's that God is better than me, stronger than me, smarter than me, and it's about time to listen. We all try to do a lot of things in life that we think are right, but we have to remember that Jesus would never lead us down a path where he wants us to hurt and be in pain. We're going to have adversity. But they always say, when somebody says something to me, is that God talking or is it not? And I would say, is it defamation? Is it defamation? Is it negative? Is it hurtful? Is it crass? Is it rude? Is it a double standard? Is it swearing? Is it yelling? Is it calling names? Is it putting you down? Is it consistently telling you you're bad? Nothing from God is chaotic and confusing. Nothing from God is evil. Even when God is disappointed in you, he doesn't come up to you, put his arm around you and say, hey, I hate you, and I'm going to tell you every single morning until you die. So I just think it's important to remember, if a voice is in your life and it's telling you how terrible of a person you are, it's most certainly not God.
For sure. And it's, I just hate seeing people speak, take the Lord's name in vain. Obviously, it's, the first of the 10 Commandments, and it just sickens me, man. It does, and
yeah,
whether you're somebody that is devout, is like a devout Catholic, and is in church every Sunday and whatnot, or somebody that kind of keeps it to yourself, but you believe, maybe you don't go to church, but you still, finding time to talk to God and everything. It's never okay to just say horrible things like that. And it just bothers me anytime I see like the media talking poorly about things like that, making fun of players for thanking God for where they are, because it's not necessarily just them that's helping them get to where they are, because you and I both know, wherever, there's always, God always has a plan for what we do in our lives, right? So we already know that. We don't know what it is until it happens. But I've always believed that. I didn't, I understood when I left my previous job, and now I'm in the position that I'm in. I enjoy it. I knew that there was a plan for that. And, as much as I would love to be making a little more money, that's not necessarily the most important thing to me. I enjoy what I do. I'm not gonna, ever lose sleep and lose sight of that, not many people enjoy their job.
Right.
right? You and I are fortunate to enjoy what we do for a living.
Yeah.
And, there's plenty of people that go to work 9 to 5, hate every second of it, but make a bunch of money to support their family. And that's fine, right? I'm not going to say that that's a bad thing, but, if you love what you do, you're kind of seeing more of what that plan is.
Yeah.
So, obviously I don't get into this too often, but it's good to bring it up. Obviously it's a somber note to, on the day we lose Pope Francis, but I'm confident that the conclave is going to result in picking somebody that will truly be spokesperson for the Catholic Church and lead the Catholic Church in such a way that things are going to be better. And honestly, I'm looking on social media earlier this morning. I saw people being claiming that the next pope will be the Antichrist and everything. And I'm seeing that JD Vance killed him because he was there yesterday, and I'm just like, I'm thinking to myself, like, what is wrong with people?
Yeah.
When I read something like that on social media, on TikTok or Twitter or whatever it is,
Yeah.
like, JD Vance has been a Catholic his whole life. That must have been, one of the greatest experiences of his life to go meet Pope Francis. And, oddly enough, to be one of the last people that he interacted with before he died.
Yeah.
So anybody that is saying things like that, because, whether you're being serious, whether you're, kidding or not, like, first of all, it's not okay if you're kidding. And second of all, if you think that, you're entitled to your opinion. God gave us free will because of that.
Yeah.
But it's might take you a while if you want to eventually get into heaven. You might spend a little while in purgatory before you make your way there, if you get there at all. Because making fun of that and making fun of God is not okay.
And picking on people who support God
Yeah.
and attacking people who promote it. I always found it really interesting when somebody would attack me through my faith or would cheat on me, lie to me, and then say, well, what would Jesus do, Dan? Jesus would forgive me, so why don't you? And it was like, are you literally exonerating yourself? Like, you're going to go out and do bad deeds and you're going to throw Jesus in my face and say, well, Jesus would be cool with this. I don't think Jesus ever said he was cool with it. I don't think
No, he
Jesus
didn't.
ever I don't think Jesus ever said you got to get out of jail free card. I think Jesus said, I will
Nope.
forgive you if you ask for it. But I don't think Jesus said, yeah, you know what? Go beat the hell out of Dan who loves me and then just use my name. And
Hmm.
and so, I mean, am I a perfect person? No, I make mistakes. I say stupid stuff sometimes. And, but I always lead with love. And when I'm at my worst, I always say to people, think about what happened right before. Like, in order to get me to be upset, to get me to swear, you got to beat me down. And I'm not saying it's right, right? Jesus would say, Dan, they beat you down 60 times, keep your mouth shut. But you have to look at my grandfather, one of the nicest people in the world. And my mother said to me, she said, you're your grandfather's grandson. She said, he didn't get mad a lot. But if you pushed him, he was done. If you pushed him to a place, that was it. It was enough. And I think so many people like to push people because they want to try and prove something, right? Nobody's good. So if I push you far enough, I can prove you're bad. But they don't look at the pushing. And that's a narcissistic person. When you're a narcissist, Murph, you will attack someone for the reaction to your toxic behavior instead of holding yourself accountable for being toxic. You will create a situation, create a problem, be toxic, be evil, be rude, be mean, only to get someone to react. And the moment that that person reacts, they will say, see what you did, see what you did. Instead of looking at the fact of saying, I committed a lot of things in this relationship that were bad. And now look at your reaction. And it's in business, it's in romance, it's in friendship. I will push you to your brink by doing really terrible things and saying terrible things. And the moment that you react, I will hold you accountable. And what I've learned in life is we have to bite our tongue even when it's really, really hard to. But what I've also learned in life is everybody makes mistakes and everybody has bad moments. What do they do after that moment? When somebody does something mean or says something mean, what is their next move? To keep going? To double down? To not stop? To blame you? To attack you? To come after you? To constantly exonerate themselves? Or is their next move to say, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have said that. I did something wrong. Please forgive me. I'm going to show you by my actions that I didn't mean that. And I just pay attention to people. I pay attention to people that create chaos and then complain about it. I pay attention to people that put themselves in bad situations and then wonder why it's bad. I pay attention to people that attack God and use God as a weapon. And, you know, Murph, it would be nice to say that I have no sin, you have no sin, none of us has a sin. When I was a little kid, I was like, hey, I don't have to sin. And then I go back and I look at my life and I say, you know what? There were moments where you could have been better.
Everybody has those.
There were moments where you could have done things better. But Murph, is it worth having somebody in your life that in the moments where you weren't your best, in the moments where you could have been better, in the moments where you just couldn't take any more of their negativity and their hate, is it good to keep that person in your life that wakes up every morning and reminds you how terrible of a person you are?
No. Like, oh my goodness. People are just, oh my God. I can't stand people sometimes, dude.
I hear you. I hear you.
I really can't.
I hear you. You know, I definitely hear you. And I think what we need to learn in life is that you can't get through to everybody, you can't reach everybody, but you can try your absolute best to make a difference. And Pope Francis tried to make his mark. Other popes throughout history. By the way, there was a Pope Innocent, and there was a Pope Humorous. And I found out that when you go through confirmation, you could take a saint's name or a pope's name. And I had to really,
You could take a pope's name?
yeah. So I was going to take Pope Humorous or Pope Innocent. And my parents said no. and so I took Justin, who is a martyr. And there is he was actually, I believe, the second person to die for his belief in Christ, his belief in God. And so Justin, I believe, was the second martyr. And so to me, Justin, that name I liked, but then the story, because Daniel is someone who is an interpreter of dreams, and he's a saint. And God has come to me through dreams and premonitions throughout my life, so I feel very connected to my saint. Michael is the archangel, the protector of humanity. He stands against Satan. He stands against evil and tries to protect humanity. I try to do that. I try to drive stuff out. Justin was willing to die for what he believed in. That's how I feel. And my last name is the sign of love. So to me, it's like when I think about my name and I think about what's important to me, it fits to hold myself accountable. And it fits for us all to do that. And this morning, as we remember Jesus and we remember the resurrection, and we remember that over 2,000 years ago, there was a Facebook mob and a Twitter mob and an Instagram mob and a TikTok mob that just thought it was cool to hate on Jesus because everybody else was doing it. See, if Jesus was alive today, he probably would have been killed a lot faster. And I don't say that in a mean way. I say that in a real way, because if Jesus was trending on TikTok in a negative way, then people would just jump on it, because people like to jump on whatever's trending. If Jesus turned water into wine, somebody would say, nope, that's just a filter. If Jesus healed the sick, they would say, that's not real. Somebody doctored the video. See, in today's world, people don't want to believe in anything, but they want to believe in something. I'm going to say that again. People don't want to believe in anything, but they want to believe in something. They don't want to believe in the God that exists, but they want to make things into God. My Apple is God. My Apple computer is God. The woman that I want to be with, she's God. That man I can't stop thinking about, he's God. My favorite actor is God. My favorite video game is my God. Money is my God. People worship things that are not God, and then they say, well, there's not enough of this. Where's God? Where's God? Everyone that doesn't believe in God is looking for something. Whether they admit it or not, they're looking for something. So there's people that believe in God and found God, and there's people that are looking for God in other things. And as we sit here this morning thinking about who's going to lead the Catholic Church, and we remember Pope Francis and pray for his safe passage to heaven, and we look at the resurrection of Jesus, we're tasked here this morning to say, do you believe? Will you believe? When it becomes unpopular again, Brendan, will you believe? When I talk about God on my show and it's not ripple affected by athletes again and it gets quiet again, will I continue? When your post on social media to tell everybody how great of a person you are backfires, will you continue to talk about God? That's the question that we face this morning, is will we talk about God, Murph, when it gets difficult, when it's unpopular, and when it's hard?
I hope so. I really do. But we're going to have to see what people, we're ultimately going to have to see what people say to that. And hopefully that's the case. I don't want to ever see people stop, because they did for a while.
Yeah.
And, obviously now it's becoming more and more, common in society today. And I'm happy about that.
Yeah. And that's where we're at, is that now in society, they want to talk about it more. And I'm happy that that's happening. We'll take a step aside for a fast break here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Hour 1 was spent with the Lord. Hour 2 will also be spent with the Lord. And we will continue to have a conversation, and we'll move it into sports. But please understand something here on Wake Up Call, on Super Powered Pop, on Do Diz with Dan, on Two Mics No Filter, on Comic Book Trails, and with everything done with Dan Tortora Broadcast Media and in my life in general. I will always praise God. I will always support God. I will always be honest. I will always be true. And I will always put him first. So this morning, you want to hear about NIL, the transfer portal, and the quarterback carousel? We're going to talk about it after this fast break. But I go where he leads, and I don't apologize for that. We'll take a step aside. We'll be back in a minute.
We feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to...
Here's a message from Renee from Bryan's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Bryan and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business, had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees. And as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about, owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There was a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allow customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water machines, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machines. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I could tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be at the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. In these unique times, There are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We are inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, and I'm here with Murph on a Monday as we have a conversation about a lot of different things where sports truly meets that thing called life. We started out hour number one praying, remembering Easter, and of course, speaking on the passing of Pope Francis and hoping for his safe passage into heaven, along with everyone else who's passed on today and every day before and every day to come. And of course, we also talked about the important things in life and sticking up for things. And you know what, Murph? I appreciate this conversation because I've been quiet at times, and this world kind of said, don't you dare, like the world's watching. Don't you dare say something about narcissists. Don't you say something about bad people. Don't you say something about people that are, kind of attacking you and abusing you and manipulating you. But I feel like you got to stick up. You got to speak up, because somebody out there might hear what you and I say here today, and it might help them stand up against their abuser, against a narcissist, against somebody who's manipulating them, against somebody who's hurting them. If you see something, say something, right? And I feel like I've been quiet about things that people do because I didn't know how to talk about it. But I feel like those that suffer in silence, that breaks my heart. So I think it's good today to talk about tough stuff and to remind people that they don't deserve to be treated poorly, especially if they're trying to be better.
For sure. And that's something that Pope Francis was probably best at, was reaching the those less fortunate and doing his best to take care of them and make sure they were being prayed for and everything that they needed. And it's something that you can kind of tip your cap and respect the hell out of him for. And and like I said, while some people may not agree with everything that he preached and said, because he was a little bit he was probably the most progressive pope we've had in recent memory.
Yeah.
But even if you didn't agree with the man, there was still countless things that he did throughout his life, throughout his papacy, that made you look at him and say, you know what, I may not agree with everything he says, and some of the stuff that he believes in, but this man is a true child of God, and somebody that has done right by the 1 point however many billion Catholics there are in the world. And it's cool. It was cool to see. And obviously I was 11. No, I was like 14. I can't do math today, apparently. I was like 14 or 15 when he became the Pope after Pope Benedict retired. And it was, I thought the conclave was the coolest thing, like seeing how the process of how they, pick a new Pope. And we're going to get to see it again in a few weeks' time. And I don't know if you're going to be there. When are you going to be at the Vatican? Because obviously I know you're going.
Yeah.
When are you going to be there?
I'll be at the Vatican within the next few days. It'll be.
So is that one of the first places you're going?
Yeah. It's actually
okay.
It's actually the first full day. Is that I'll be there.
So you might even go get to see him laying in state.
Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be a nice little time for you to talk to God and pray over Pope Francis and ask for him to watch over you, and that'll be, I'm sure, something that I know you'll appreciate, that being as devout as you are. So I'm looking forward to hearing all the stories that you have from over there, and I've always wanted to go. It's something that's on my bucket list of places I would love to go at some point in my life, is to go to the Vatican. So it would be very cool to see that. I've always also wanted to go to Israel and see Jerusalem and Bethlehem, where the Nativity and the Passion took place. And obviously now is not the time to go because of what is happening over there right now. But sometime in the future, I'd love to go. I know my dad was originally, so he works for this Jewish summer camp that they take trips over to Israel every year, and with some of their kids. And he was actually going to go last March with a group of people. They were going to meet some of the people that were going to be on staff with them and everything. And obviously because of the war, they didn't end up going. But that was definitely something he said he was looking forward to, because they would have taken it. They were willing to take him and, see some of the different sites and, from the Bible and everything. And, I imagine that's got to be a really cool trip. Like I said, I'd love to do it one day.
Yeah.
Let the war end first. But to see the history and everything that's there, and obviously just to see the Vatican too would be awesome. So I'm a little jealous that you're getting to go over there, but I'm hoping that I'm really hoping that you enjoy it and feel like it gets you a little bit closer to Pope Francis and to God and everything. And I really hope you enjoy that. I'm looking forward to hearing the stories from when you come back. Obviously, I know you're going elsewhere in Italy as well.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to hearing the stories. I know the first day that you're back, when we're back on, I'd love to sit, and even if we only talk about sports for 20 minutes, I'd love to sit and just let you talk about what the experience was like. Because at least for me, when I went to Europe last year, it was one of the coolest experiences of my life. Even though I didn't really get to spend a ton of time in one place.
Yeah.
And then I had 2.5 days in Ireland, 3 days in France, and then day and a half, 2 days in Amsterdam was pretty darn cool.
Yeah.
Just to see the sights and everything. So, you said you'd never even been to Europe, right?
No, it's my first time.
Yeah. So, just taken from somebody that's been to the continent before and seen like some of the way things are and how old, you just walking down, like I remember just when I got to Dublin, just walking down the road when we first got there, this brick road that's just uneven and bricks are popping up a little bit, but cars are still driving down there.
Yeah.
In Amsterdam, the roads were like crazy narrow, like you would never imagine driving down something like that in the States. It's just cool to see. Like, I mean, like for us, our first stop in Dublin was the oldest pub in Dublin, which was founded in like the 1200s, which was just bizarre to me. It's like it's 800 years old, and we're sitting in it having a pint of Guinness. So I really hope you enjoy that. Drink, eat some great food. Obviously, Italy is known for their food, so eat some great food and enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to hearing the stories when you get back.
If I come back.
Folks, if DT does not come back, I will be taking over the show, so don't you worry, you will not miss a thing.
We're gonna go live from Italy. But
yeah. I'm
It's
surprised you didn't want to do that at least once.
Oh, I may. You see, I don't really know. My dad and I were trying to figure out, like, do you have to have an international plan? How do you get on Wi-Fi? How does the phone work overseas? How does the internet work overseas? We trying to figure.
Did you figure that out, or do you?
So my dad got a universal charger, and so we have that, and then we have to check with like our phone carrier if we need anything extra. But then I was trying to figure out like Wi-Fi and stuff. But then I know on some of the tours they said they have Wi-Fi. But you would know because you've been overseas, so.
Yeah, so I didn't know that either when I went over there. So the way it works is, basically through, at least for my, phone plan, it's an international thing where if you ever go overseas, like if you go, and it doesn't matter it doesn't matter where, like you can go to South America, you can go to the Bahamas, to Europe, whatever. It's like an international day pass that it gets charged $10 to your account per day. That was the way mine worked. So I was there 9 days. I got charged $90 for it. So it costs a decent amount of money. I mean, you're going to be there 10 days?
Yeah.
So it'll probably cost you about $100 for it, but you'll have, as long as you have that plan on your phone already, and literally just check with, I don't know if you have like AT&T or Verizon or whoever, just check with them and make sure you have that. As long as you and your dad have that, you guys are going to be good. You'll just get billed when you come back for however many days that you were over there. So that's all it was for me. And obviously Wi-Fi works the same. But as long as you have the universal charter, because it's different, make sure you know what kind it is for Italy, because it is different for Dublin and Amsterdam were different. Okay. So I think it's the UK has one set, and then the rest of the EU has a different set.
Okay.
You can literally go on Amazon and just look up the country, and it'll tell you what port it is. The thing's weird as hell. I have one of each. I had to get one of each because we were where we were going. So I had one for Dublin and one for Amsterdam, and France too, because the one would in France work the same way. But yeah, so you'll have a signal and everything. You could connect. You could still connect to your hotspot. Nothing was different other than the time change.
Okay.
So I don't know if you'd like. That'd be cool for you. I'm sure you would enjoy, even if it was only like 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Going live over there from Italy. That would be pretty darn cool.
Going live.
I mean, hey, we did a show with me in Vegas. I mean, you've done plenty of shows in Florida. Who's to say you couldn't do an international show? I only couldn't do it when I was over there because we had 55 different things that we were doing. And we were in the middle of just getting belligerently drunk in the streets of Dublin when we had the first Monday that I was there, and then the second Monday was my flight home from Dublin. So that was a long day.
Yeah, I mean we've gone live. We've broadcasted from Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Pennsylvania, New York, North Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Texas, Arizona, California, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the Bahamas, Mexico. So this would be another edition. But how cool is this? So you go and you check on your phone. Let me see if I can get it so people could see it. So you check on your phone and it says Rome, Naples, Tortora, because our region it pops up. If you look up Tortora on your phone, it'll pop up. So it's currently 66 in Tortora today. It'll have a low of 54. We will be going to Tortora, and it's crazy. So Tortora is southeast of Rome, and yeah. So I'm just kind of looking at this right now, because it's Rome, Naples, Tortora, and we know where our family's from Naples, so we may go visit that area as well. But yeah, it's gonna be crazy. So I would like to have Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora live from Tortora.
I think you got it. You have to do it, dude. Just do it. Like you and your dad, you just sit down and have a show from over. And obviously, you don't need to bring any gear for that. Just just your phone. Set up your phone and nothing else. Like that's all you need.
Yeah.
Just go and enjoy it. Like that would have to be the coolest thing. Are you gonna go visit Mount Vesuvius when you're in Naples?
I don't know. We planned out Rome.
Because it's not far, I don't think.
Yeah, we planned out Rome, but we didn't really plan out what we want to do in Naples. I know that my mom had done some research before, and she had found that there's a bunch of restaurants that are named Tortora. So I know that she had found those before. So I'm looking it up right now, because there was different stuff that had our name on it. And so, the 10 best restaurants in Tortora. So
there you go.
We got some stuff for Tartufo de Mar, La Nuova. Let's see here. Colinetta. And then we have Ristorante La Loggia. So, but the other thing too is that I speak Spanish, and Spanish and Italian are similar. So I, when in doubt, will utilize my Spanish if I need help with that. But there's obviously also a lot of people that speak English too. So it'll be good. It'll be fun. But yeah, Tortora going live from Tortora. Insane. It's like I went into a time portal.
That would be amazing.
So that's Bob Beretta.
That would be so cool.
Bob Beretta, who I love dearly. Bob, if you're watching and listening. Bob said to me, he goes, send me pictures, and I better have a picture of you on top of Mount Tortora. So, but
is there actually a Mount Tortora?
There's a mountain named after my last name. There's a museum. But yeah, it's this entire part of Calabria. So yeah. So climbing Mount Tortora. So it would
that would be awesome.
Yeah. So there's a lot to be had, and once again, and some people think I'm crazy, but I know that this is my life. God doesn't do that. God doesn't take his time out of the billions of people and just find some time for you or send you a gift. And I'm like, yeah, he does. There's a place called Tortora in Italy. Yes. I'm going to take that as a blessing. So
there's Murphy's Pub is in Dublin.
Yeah.
We didn't go. I was looking into going when I went back, because when I went over there, I did a round trip through Dublin.
Yeah.
So when we were in France, I had to fly back to Dublin and then take a flight back the next day. Originally, I was going to try to fly to. Hold on. You still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. It looked like you were talking or something.
Oh no, I was reading,
like almost like you couldn't hear me.
No, I was reading a name here to jog us on what's going to be coming up next. You'll see why in a minute.
Oh, okay. So I was originally going to try to go up to Scotland for the night and then fly or take a train, like an overnight train into Dublin. And it just didn't work out because I was going to try to go to St. Andrews. There wasn't enough time. So what I ended up doing was I flew back to Dublin at like 3:00 in the afternoon. I landed at like 5:30. I went to my hotel, checked in, and then I went to a golf course and played 8 holes of golf in Ireland. So technically, yes, I have played golf in Ireland, not a full 18 or nothing, but no. But then I went back to the hotel, ordered a burger with some fries and a pint of Guinness, and enjoyed my last real Irish Guinness. I'd love to go back though. And that's something I don't know if you would ever go to Ireland.
I would,
but I would go back in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool. I mean, for me, I'd want to travel all over Europe. Like I'd want to go. Like I'd love to go to London. I'd love to go to. Obviously, I want to go to Scotland and see St. Andrews, and obviously I want to go to the south of Ireland and see where my ancestors are from. But that's the thing that I don't think we do enough as Americans, because like we can travel within our own country. Like we could take a 12-hour flight to our own country to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
So, or to go to Alaska, wherever you want to go. So, for me, like I've been to a lot of places in the U.S. and there's still a lot of other places I want to go. Like I'd love to go to Texas. I'd love to go to. I'm already going to Chicago this summer for the national sports card show. I already I've been to Florida more times than I can count. But like we can take 3-4 hour flights and we're still in our same country.
Yeah.
When you're in Europe, you take a 3-4 hour flight, you go from Ireland to France and you're in a completely different country and they speak a completely different language, which is bizarre. And the one thing that you'll notice over there is going to be a little bit of culture shock, simply because of, at least when I was over there, just walking through the airport in Nice, you go to the airport store and get a soda or whatever. You find yourself saying, because you figure out how to say like please and thank you in the language of the country that you're in.
Yeah.
So I was saying like merci a lot when I was over there because that's thank you in French. And Amsterdam, they speak Dutch, but they also speak English. And obviously in Ireland, when you're in Dublin, you speak a little bit of Irish English. That I found myself, and you might catch yourself too. I found myself talking in an Irish accent sometimes when I was over there for absolutely no reason. And it would just, because I heard it so much over those 3 days.
Yeah.
It would just come out. So you might catch yourself starting to speak a little bit of Italian English when you're over there. And I'm sure that'd be kind of cool though.
Well, the thing is, though, I mean, you're telling a person who does impersonations that I might impersonate. So,
you literally might, dude. It could happen.
No,
I wouldn't be shocked if it does.
I definitely, when I'm around like family that is thick Italian, like sounds like they just came from Italy, it comes out of me. Like if I'm in New York City and I'm with Joe and I'm with Antoinetta and I'm with Angela and all of that, it like you can hear it. Like it starts to come out of me. I start to sound. Mm-hmm. I start to sound.
My New York comes back every once in a while.
Oh yeah.
When I'm around it.
But when it's like when I'm in certain places, you will hear you'll hear like when I dated a girl from North Carolina, I was around her family so much, and I heard that Carolina accent and Daniel. I heard it all the time. So I got on the phone with my mom, and I was talking to her, and I said, y'all, and we were talking, and it was kind of coming out, and I was talking like this to my mama, and she was like, I'm going to hang up the phone, and I'm going to call back, and I would like to speak to my son. And
I mean, that's why when I was over in Ireland, I had to order a pint of Guinness in the Irish accent, uh, and it was great. And whether it was the Guinness or the harp or whatever it was great.
yeah, well, that's
My Irish accent is actually not terrible. It's not great, but it's not terrible.
no, it's
Like
not,
I could probably pass if I tried it over there.
yeah, it's not bad. I mean, I think in order to pass for being Irish, like in order to prove you're from Ireland, you have to be able to drink and have somewhat of an accent. And Murph, you do both very well. So
I could drink my Guinness, I could drink my harp or whatever. Like there was one beer that I had over there, and I can't for the life of me remember the name of what it was. It was like Five Brothers or Five Seasons something. It was some sort of like amber lager.
yeah,
But I was drinking it when we were at when we were at Temple Bar. I was drinking it both nights just because it was like I can only drink so much Guinness. Like I could drink 2 or 3 Guinness and be fine, but after that, like I can't drink any more of those.
yeah, and that's the thing.
It's not that it's heavy, but it's different for me.
Well,
So like I could drink a few of them, but I can't drink like 10 of them.
Well, it was funny because when I was putting up our stuff yesterday, the place that you went to where they put your face in the beer, like I found that picture again.
The Guinness storehouse, yeah.
And I was like, this is insane. But like
They have one in Baltimore.
okay.
I would love to go do that.
Yeah. I think we should do one where we broadcast from that specific location. And so like we go to Baltimore, we broadcast from that location, and the promo for it is our faces inside of the
Oh,
van,
that'd be awesome. That would be awesome. I don't know if they do it there though. Like I'd have to find out.
Somebody's
because
got
like
to do it.
we had no clue that they were doing that at the Guinness store out in Dublin.
Yeah.
We had no idea. So when we found that out and they showed it to us, we were like, this is sick.
Yeah.
Like this is the coolest thing. It is still to this day one of the coolest things I have ever done or seen. And realistically, I don't know what will top it. Because who has ever gotten to say my face was on a beer?
Right.
Right. Come on, let me find it. I don't know. Because for those of you that haven't seen it, it is the coolest freaking thing ever.
It is pretty amazing. I can actually bring it up on the screen. Hold on, let me do it. Yeah, there's Murph. There's Murph's face in a beer. Just send it to me.
And you know what's crazy? What's crazy is by the time you were done with it, it was still there.
Yeah.
Because the head on Guinness never goes down. So it was still there by the time I was done with it. And I felt bad drinking it.
Yeah.
And what's sad about it though, it was really cool. I had some great pints of Guinness when I was in Dublin. That particular pint of Guinness, as bad as it sounds, was the worst one that I had the entire trip.
Well, I have a question for you. Was it weird to drink beer while making out with yourself?
Yes. Very much so.
Do you consider yourself
Very much so.
Do you consider yourself a good kisser post Guinness?
Oh my god. I definitely didn't say nothing for Amsterdam, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's right.
Not for the red light district in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Murph turned the red light on early in Dublin. But so with that being said, perfect segue to Nico Iamaieva. So let's get into that. NIL. So Murph and I talk about a lot of different things here on the show. I do want to get to something because we promised it. I love our conversation, and I want to make sure that we get to the things that we promised, because doing what we promised is important to me. Promises made, promises kept, right? So looking at this thing, and this was the name. So I've thought that I've said it right, but it's Ema. Okay, I'm going to tell you this. This is how it breaks down. Iama Leava. Iama Leava, or something like that.
This is worse than DJ Uyangalale.
I know, because the thing is with this is like the name looks like Iama Lieva, which is kind of it, but it's Iama Leava. Leava, not Laeva. Sure. And I say Laeva, but
let's go with that.
Yeah. Iama Leava. So Nico Iama Leava has officially announced he's transferring to UCLA. My journey at UT, which was Tennessee, has come to an end, he said. He also said on Instagram, this decision was incredibly difficult and truthfully not something I expected to make this soon, but I trust God's timing and I believe he is leading me where I need to be. Even though this chapter is ending, a new chapter has begun and I'm committed to UCLA, end quote. Now, he was considered the number one recruit in the transfer portal. And so the Bruins are coming off a season where they went 5-7. And now they're trying to go forward from here. And so he's a 5-star prospect from Long Beach, California. So he returns to California. He was recruited by UCLA out of high school. Younger brother Madden committed to UCLA out of high school, but changed his commitment on the morning of signing day and signed with Arkansas. So it's good to know that the Iamayeva family does not stay committed to their commitments. So those recruitments have now put us in a place where one of them was supposed to go to UCLA, and now the other one is. He passed for 2,616 yards, speaking to Nico, 19 touchdowns, 5 interceptions in his first season as a starter. And in 9 games against SEC opponents and Ohio State in the playoff, he threw for more than 200 yards only twice. So that's something to look at against better competition. The offense finished 9th in the conference in scoring with 25 points per game in SEC play. The Volunteers' offense was number 1 in rushing and number 11 in passing in the SEC last year, and the team did make it to the college football playoff as an at-large bid. UCLA is coming off a season in which it finished 14th in scoring offense and 12th in total offense in the Big Ten. Iama Ieva was earning $2.4 million at Tennessee under the contract he signed with Spire Sports Group, the Tennessee-based collective, when he was still in high school. The deal would have paid him in the $10 million range altogether had he stayed 4 years at Tennessee. And now, because of California tax, allegedly, he's leaving a $2.4 million deal in a state that had no state tax to now make under $1 million to go to UCLA. So apparently he didn't check state law, taxing, or the fact that California is by far the worst state in the union in many things. So I hand it to you, Murph, that now he's going to Tennessee or going to UCLA via the transfer portal, left a $2.4 million deal that would have paid out $10 million over 4 years to now go to a highly taxed state where he will make under $1 million.
What a moron. Honestly. That's what I could say about this dude. He decides to tell Tennessee, I want more money. Now remember, folks, this is college football. Amateur college football. These guys are not professionals.
Yeah.
They're not entitled to making money. They are allowed to make money, but they're not entitled to make money. That is the problem with this guy. It is the entitlement.
Yeah.
He told Tennessee, I want more money, so I'm not going to play. Tennessee said, all right, see ya. We're going to move on. We're going to bring somebody else in to play quarterback because we're not going to pay you. Good for Tennessee for standing by their guns and basically forcing this dude out. You didn't need him. You're probably going to be better off without him anyway. He's probably going to go to UCLA, and they're going to go 5-7 again, or 4-8, and they're going to stink. The kids these days they think they're entitled to all this NIL money. You're not. You're not. Arch Manning, from what I saw, is the only quarterback only 5-star quarterback from that recruiting class that has stayed at his school. Everybody else has transferred because of NIL. Now, granted, Arch Manning does not need money. His family has a lot of money. They have no reason to, he has no reason to say, oh, I need X amount of dollars. Arch Manning is going to be the number 1 pick in the NFL draft at some point in the next couple of years. Whether he comes out this coming year or next year. Regardless, he will be the number 1 pick. Mark my words. So he doesn't need the money. But he stayed loyal to the University of Texas.
Yeah.
He stayed loyal when Quinn Ewers, who is not that great for starters, decides to come back, improve his draft stock, and stays at Texas.
Yeah.
He could have transferred after that. He could have gone to Ole Miss or Tennessee or anywhere else. But he didn't.
Yeah.
Because he stayed loyal.
Yeah.
Loyalty is completely undervalued these days.
Yeah.
The transfer portal is like freaking free agency. And we've had this conversation before. I can't stand the transfer portal. Guys are just moving around willy-nilly and say, if I'm not getting what I want in NIL money here, I'm just going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I'm glad Nico got less money because that's what he deserved. If you're gonna be that guy, you don't deserve to make more money than that. You deserve to get less money from a university that you're going to play in games that are completely irrelevant. UCLA hasn't been relevant in football in years. They won't be relevant. Nobody's going to care about him. He had a better shot of getting drafted if he stayed in Tennessee, in the SEC.
Yeah.
The California teams in the Big Ten, with the exception of USC, were not good last year. And USC wasn't even that good. The only Pac-12 school that was even any remotely good in the Big Ten was Oregon. But Oregon, we know what happened with Oregon. They were really good this year. They had a great quarterback. They had a great team. They're going to have a lot of guys drafted in the draft this year.
Yeah.
They just ran into Ohio State, who wanted revenge. We had a feeling they were probably going to lose, and they did.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I look at this with Nico, and again, I'm not even going to try to say his last name. Not worth it to me because I'm going to screw it up.
Iamaeva.
Sure. But that dude, if you're going to be selfish like that,
yeah,
good riddance. If you're a Tennessee fan, I'm looking at that guy and I'm saying good riddance. Go make less money at UCLA and be terrible at football because the team's not going to be good.
Well, let's discuss the situation a little bit more here, folks, because this is fun for everyone who wants to play the home game. So
hang on 1 second. Our dryer's going off. That's not going to shut up. So keep talking. Keep talking. I can hear you.
So looking at the fact of where we're at with this entire situation, I do want to make note. Gabe Feldman, director of Tulane's, and obviously I've covered Tulane for over a decade, Tulane's sports law program and the school's associate provost for NCAA compliance, had some things to say. So I want to go to what was here. So how money is diverted inside college sports is expected to be changed with the House settlement named for Grant House, a former Arizona State swimmer who is a lead plaintiff in the case against the NCAA. So for those of you that thought the House settlement was the House of Representatives, no, it's named after Grant House. I had to learn this myself. Now, under the proposed terms, schools will be allowed to share as much as $20 million in annual revenue directly with their athletes. The deal should, quote, provide new oversights for collegiate athletics, but there are still bumpy and uncharted waters ahead, end quote. Still to be determined is where the House settlement will affect collectives and athletes' negotiation power because athletes have individual deals. Now, the standoff between Iamaeva and Tennessee was just one flashpoint between a school and their student athlete. Feldman said, quote, "It has been clear that significant changes were coming to college athletics. Now that we are on the precipice of the biggest transformation in the history of college sports, most are unsure of how this era will play out and whether college sports will remain essentially the same going forward or will be unrecognizable because of their changes," end quote. Murph, what was my prediction 7 years ago? The NCAA will either fail to exist or they will exist in a way that we will not recognize them. It did not Feldman just say that. So we are here right now. We are in this moment. Now, let me tell you about Nico Iamaleava. Let's discuss what his deal is, because I posted this. I can't take credit for this graphic because this graphic came from somebody else who had posted it, but I shared the graphic so that we could really see how horrible some of this stuff is and how people just don't know math. So let's take a look at math when it's not mathing. This is what the Nico Iamaleava situation looks like, okay? Now, he will only make $900,000 at UCLA. So he leaves a $2.4 million deal a year. Tennessee has no state tax. The deal would have been $10 million if he had stayed at Tennessee. Allegedly, he asked Tennessee to bump up to $4 million. Allegedly from $2 million, give me $4 million a year. Which quarterbacks that are going to Super Bowls aren't even making that money.
Literally.
Now I want you to go with me here. He's making over 2. He's asking for allegedly 4. This is what he's going to make in California with UCLA. Federal income tax, $617,618. Federal payroll tax, $50,953. California state income tax, $210,027. His total taxes for going to California on his NIL deal, $880,263, which leaves him with $919,716. The amount of money he's bringing home per year is almost exact to the amount of taxes he is paying. So he's losing almost half of his money to go to California after asking Tennessee to double something that had no income tax, that had no state tax.
Sucks for him.
Maybe, you know what? This proves more than one thing, Murph. This proves something that people aren't talking about. This proves something that we should be discussing. The student and student athlete. Because this man was not taking basic math courses. We're not talking about algebra and geometry. We're talking about addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. Nico Iamaleava did not know about tax. He did not know about math. The family should have done some math. They should have sat at the table and said, you're making $2.4 million. There's no state tax. If you go to California, you get taxed for breathing. You get taxed for walking. You get taxed for getting in your car. You get taxed for having a thought in your brain. You get taxed for having a feeling in your heart. In California, you get taxed for being alive. California has no money, but they tax everybody. So this is what I'm going to say to the students out there that are trying to be student athletes. Maybe you should stay at a school long enough to take one math class that teaches you how to add and subtract. Because Nico didn't know how. So let this be a lesson, and let this be a blessing for those of you that are trying to figure out how to go somewhere and do this and that. Maybe you should stay in school long enough to do some math. Now, here's another conversation that comes up. Here's something else on the mind, Murph. And when we take a look at this, we take a look at the fact that Nico is not the only quarterback moving. There's another guy, and this is a guy I got to see live, Steve Angeli. Steve Angeli, the Notre Dame backup quarterback, entered the transfer portal as a grad transfer. Now, Angeli was serving as Riley Leonard's backup last season, and they went all the way to the College Football Playoff National Championship. He was currently in a three-way competition for the starting job with C.J. Carr and Kenny Minchie. Now, the 6'3", 205-pound quarterback has appeared in 20 games over 3 years with the program. He's thrown for 772 yards, 72.5% completion percentage, with 10 touchdowns and 1 interception. He is entering his redshirt junior season and has 2 seasons of eligibility remaining. Keep in mind, he stepped in for Riley Leonard in the 27-24 win over Penn State in the College Football Playoff semifinal game. So he's proven his worth. But here's another quarterback in the middle of battle, in the heat of competition, and instead of going up against two guys going into the fall, he's going somewhere else. Your thoughts on this, Murph, that the backup to Riley Leonard is not going to be competing for a starting job anymore. He'll be running to another school.
It could be more. It doesn't sound like there's anything with him regarding NIL as the reason for his transfer.
No.
It definitely could be something where maybe he doesn't think he's going to win the starting job, and he thinks he's going to have to, go elsewhere to play. And because he's probably not a guy that's going to, end up being a top NFL draft pick, and he knows he's probably done after he finishes his college career. So he might want to go somewhere that he knows that he can play his last 2 years, because, as somebody who sat on the bench for 2 years playing college baseball, it's not fun.
No.
So, I imagine he might just want to go somewhere that he can play. Where that is, who knows? But he could probably still make it. He could probably still go to a Power 5 or Power 4 conference school, I would think, and get a starting job somewhere.
Yeah.
Who knows where he ends up, but I think ultimately it's a much different situation with him than we had with Nico. Nico is just being greedy, and he ends up making less money going to California. So good for you, Nico. I hope you enjoy your time at UCLA. Not. But yeah, so for Angeli, he's kind of gonna, I would think, as a grad transfer, he's gonna go somewhere where he can get his graduate degree and play somewhere. He's probably not necessarily looking for a school that he's going to win a national championship at, because he may not start at a school like that. He's probably just looking for a team where he can go and he can start and he can play. I imagine that's something that would make sense for him, I would think.
Yeah, and he is one of the guys that is leaving. The thing that's sad is that he stepped in last year and helped them get to the college football playoff national championship. So the fact that he's gone kind of stinks here. I'm taking a look at the portal right now. Okay. 3,521 players have entered the portal in college football alone. 1,849 of them have committed, which leaves 47% of them uncommitted. 107 have withdrawn their names, which is 3%. So if you take that 3%, then 44% of the nation that's in the portal right now does not have a home heading into the summer. Quarterbacks alone, Nico Iamaleava, he has gone from Tennessee to UCLA. Josh Wood, he has also found his home. Josh Wood is leaving Fresno State, and he'll be going to Idaho. Ryan Brown is leaving North Carolina for Purdue. Jeremy Heklinski is leaving Wake Forest, and he is going 521 miles away to Bowling Green. The irony of this is that former Wake Forest head coach Dave Clawson was the head coach of Bowling Green before he went to Wake Forest, and Jeremy's doing the flip. Then we have Zach Pyron, who is leaving Minnesota, and he'll be going to South Alabama. And then we have Silas Corder, who doesn't have a home yet, Anthony Grigsby, who doesn't have a home yet, Dayon Batiste, who doesn't have a home, Billy Atkins, Jaden Saray, Gio Lopez, who leaves South Alabama for North Carolina, Steve Angeli, who we just mentioned, doesn't have a home, Giovanni McCoy, who doesn't have a home yet, EJ Colson, Andrew Machart, DJ Mazzone. We have Jamison Kitna, Christian Hunt, and Syracuse has a couple guys. Michael Johnson Jr., A.J. Miller, who both jumped in after spring ball. Trevor Jackson from Florida State doesn't have a home. And the list goes on and on and on. Jake Garcia is leaving East Carolina. He was their starter. Robert Long is leaving Maryland. Harrison Boyd is leaving Memphis after being a backup. So some of these are really interesting because of the fact that these guys were waiting in the wings behind somebody and had the chance to take over. Now they're leaving. Dylan Risk is leaving UCF. Caleb McMickey is leaving Houston. Jake Wilson's leaving Purdue, and so on and so forth. I'm just looking at this. I'm not naming anywhere near the amount of names I'm looking at in the portal here. But just so you know, as of this morning, 3,521 college football players, not college players, not every sport together combined, 3,521 college football student athletes have entered the portal. 1,849 have committed. 107 have withdrawn. 44, a little bit shy of 44% on the nose, do not know where the hell they're going to be playing next year. Murph, your thoughts?
That's bizarre. And is that including Division II and Division III and NAIA and everything, or is that just Division I?
I'm saying, let me. That was a good question because I'm looking to verify that. So this is for football status. I'm not looking at that. So this is coming. I think that this is Division 1A and Division 1AA is what I'm looking at.
This is just Division I. That's interesting.
Yeah, because the only teams that they have listed here or the only conferences they have listed are the American, ACC, Big 10, Big 12, Conference USA, Independent, MAC, Mountain West, Pac-12, Sun Belt, SEC, and SWAC are the only ones that are on this. So
that's all Division I. Yeah, that's all. That's bizarre. I don't know. I guess loyalty is not a thing anymore.
No.
Guys go to schools and, they want to, guys don't want to earn their playing time anymore. They just give up and go somewhere else because they don't want to earn it.
Yeah.
That's sad. And that's just the way kids are being raised these days. These parents are raising these kids to be entitled. They think they're entitled to everything. And they think they're entitled to play. They think they're entitled to not have to work hard for it. When you work hard for something, that's what makes it more fulfilling when you actually accomplish what you're looking to accomplish.
Yeah.
Right?
100%.
There's no value in that anymore to these kids. There isn't. I mean, that's why I think Arch Manning's going to do so well next year, and I think he's going to be the number one pick in the draft next year. Because he's staying at Texas, he's remaining loyal, and he's going to earn it. Don't get me wrong, he played great at not every game, but he played fairly well when he filled in for Quinn Ewers last year, when Quinn Ewers was hurt. I expect him to be great next year. I expect Texas to compete for a national championship.
Yeah,
I do. I genuinely do. I think they would have been able to compete if Arch had played in the playoff this year. So that's why I think Arch is going to do so well, because he's remained loyal. He's working hard. He's trying to earn it.
Yeah,
as you should. But he's also been raised in a family that's been like that. I mean, Peyton and Eli didn't exactly start, just expecting to do everything. Right? Peyton Manning went to Tennessee instead of his father's alma mater of Ole Miss to play. He went there, he played for 4 years. He didn't win a national championship, but he played for 4 years and was great. Yeah. And he worked his tail off and was the number one overall pick. Eli Manning went to Ole Miss. Don't know if he played all 4 years, but he played a lot.
Yeah. And
he worked hard and he earned his spot and he earned his number one pick. Now, the way he got himself to the Giants, people don't necessarily like that. But even the older brother, even Cooper, Arch's dad. Cooper, obviously, as some people know, went to Ole Miss and ended up with a degenerative spine issue, and he could never play football again. I also do think that had Cooper not had that issue, Peyton would have gone to Ole Miss, and Ole Miss would have won a national championship with Peyton and Cooper. But he worked his tail off to get to Ole Miss and earn it, and unfortunately, he didn't get to fulfill his dream and play in college. But that's okay. They instilled this in Arch and all the other kids so far in the Manning family, and that's why I think Arch is going to be successful, because he's been loyal.
Yeah,
he's worked hard for it. These guys don't want to work anymore. They want everything handed to them on a silver platter. The world doesn't work like that, kids.
You know why?
Doesn't
Do you know why? Because they grew up in Pop Warner leagues where everybody got a trophy.
Yep. That is the problem with the participation trophy era. And I always love seeing that TikTok of the kid is at a basketball tournament. They got a medal for coming in second place. And he takes the medal and he throws it in the trash. And his parents look at him like, "What are you doing?" And the kid goes, "We lost."
Yeah.
"Why do I want a medal? We lost."
Yeah. I want a medal to remind me that I lost. Now, to your point, Eli did have to wait in the wings as a freshman at Ole Miss, and Peyton had to wait in the wings as a freshman at Tennessee. Now, to go to the portal once again, as of this morning, as of right now, there's 1,565 players without a home in Division I college football, Division I and Division I and Division I AA, FBS and FCS. There's 134 FBS schools. Just strictly FBS. If the FBS took the 1,565 players available and divvied it up amongst the 134 FBS schools, that would mean each school would have to take almost 12 players out of the portal, 11.67 players. And that's not going to happen, Murph. No. What's going to happen is musical chairs, the music going to stop, and not everybody's going to have a seat. That's the problem. That's the issue that kids don't think about when they jump in the portal. Not that you don't jump in the portal for the right reasons. Not that you don't jump in the portal because you were lied to, or your coach left, or you want to be closer to home. I'm not sitting here saying that people don't go into the portal for good reason. I'm not saying people don't go into the portal and there's something going on in life that makes perfect sense, and it's not about money, and it's not about greed, and it's not about running away. All I'm saying is this portal business is worse than free agency because free agency has parameters. This free agency has no parameters. You could do it whenever the heck you want to. The UNLV quarterback, the team's 4-0, he declared himself a redshirt, which I don't know that a player can do that, and then sat out the rest of the season and left his team while they were 4-0 in the midst of the season and decided, I'm going to play 4 games and I'm going to give myself another year of eligibility. So Ryan Brown decided to transfer back to Purdue after joining North Carolina. This is a weird one in the portal. He was at Purdue, then he was at North Carolina. Now he's going back to Purdue, and Purdue welcomed him back into their home. So he moved on amidst a head coaching change and went through spring practice under Tar Heels coach Bill Belichick, and now is finding his way right back to Purdue. So that's an interesting scenario, but that's what's going on right now. 1,565 players at the time we're talking still in the portal. About 44% of the portal is still in the portal heading into the summer. And if every FBS school equally took players out of the portal, they would have to find about 12 scholarships apiece. And y'all know that that's not going to happen. So some of these people in the portal, they're going to go from having a free education, a stipend. So they're going to go from having a free education, having their money. So they got money, free education, money to pay. They got their money to pay for food, money to do what they want to do. So they got their stipend and their education. Why am I saying it 500 times? Because I want y'all to know it's not just a free education. These kids do get money. Before the house settlement, before the stuff, they do get a stipend. Some of them spend it on sneakers, some of them spend it on food, some of them send it back home. But they get money and a free education, which at Syracuse University is about 80 grand. So you get a free education and money, and you're on this team playing a sport that you love. These kids in the portal that don't have a home, maybe 18 years old, 19 years old, 20 years old, nowhere close to getting an education, no money to pay for college, no money coming in on a stipend, going back to the same neighborhood they were in. There is an 18-year-old, 19-year-old right now that will head back to the life that they ran from because they got stuck in the portal. That's reality right now. The portal is good in the sense that you can freely go anywhere and free agency has no rules. The portal is good because you can go make money, and NIL and the portal aren't supposed to be connected, but they are. There's all this good that can come from the portal. There's also the reality that you got to call your mom and dad and say, I went to school for a semester. I don't have a free education. I got no money to send home, and I'm coming back. There's a reality that somebody today that could have been a starting quarterback on a team is going to go to the grocery store, bag groceries, and have to figure it out again. And I'm not knocking bagging groceries. I'm just saying they're going to have to go home and maybe go back to the job they had. And I was bagging groceries when I was in college for a little bit. I was working in the dairy department. So the guy that might be the starting quarterback, starting running back, the waiting in the wings corner is now going back home to put milk on the shelf. But is going to try to have to figure out while they're putting milk on the shelf of the store, how they're going to put milk on the shelf of their family, because now they don't have an education and their parents can't afford their college and they can't afford their college. Murph, there is real life stuff happening right now. We talk about Nico Iamaleava and Arch Manning. We talk about Shedeur Sanders, guys making millions upon millions of dollars. But, or in Nico's case, not making millions because he can't add. But the world that we live in today also has the fact that free education, stipend of money is now going to be gone because somebody decided to jump in the portal and put their coach on blast, and now they don't have a home. There's going to be people that are going to be returning to their neighborhood at 19 years old with nothing to show for it, thanks to the portal.
And that's their own fault. I genuinely think that is the player's own fault. It's one thing to, go out there and say, I want to, transfer, so-and-so. These guys go in the portal with no plan.
Yeah.
So half the time, even if you try to withdraw your name, no, we gave away your scholarship. Sorry.
Yeah.
No can do. These guys go in there with no plan. And if they get screwed in the process, they've got no one to blame but themselves. If you decide you want to transfer, that's great. Good for you, right? However, if you get yourself stuck because you had no plan and nobody wants you, and you try to go back to your school and they already gave away your scholarship, sucks for you, dude. There's nothing you can do about that. It is what it is. And I'll feel bad for some of them, but a lot of them I won't.
Yeah.
Because they did it to themselves. And I imagine a lot of those kids are probably just going to drop out of school and not go back because they either can't afford it or they only wanted to play football, and now that they can't, they're done. They're not going to go walk on somewhere. They're not going to pay the money to go walk on somewhere. They're going to expect a scholarship. Doesn't work that way.
No, and that's the thing. There's a few things here. You don't have to tell your coaching staff that you're going in the portal. You have to tell compliance. So you can literally go to compliance and never have to speak to your coach. There are coaches that find out their players are in the portal when they check the portal in the morning. Just like professional players would say, I found out I got traded by seeing the ticker on SportsCenter. Well, now coaches find out that their players are in the portal when they check the portal because the players don't even have to tell them anymore. And Murph said something here. They don't have to honor you. So if you get in the portal and you realize you made a mistake, your coach could say, sorry, bro, good luck to you. We gave your scholarship away. So there's some real deal life lessons happening to kids that don't understand life. When you are 18, 19, 20 years old, you're learning about life. That's why you go to college. Okay? That's why you go. Do I consider myself to be an old soul and be older than I was? And when I was 18, maybe I was 25? Yeah, but there were other parts where I was 18. Sometimes I was developed and I was 25 at 18. And sometimes I was 18. Sometimes I was 16 at 18. So these people, these children, these teenagers are getting hit with life and the consequences of life. If you want to be an employee and you no longer want to be a student athlete, employees get fired every day. You don't want to be an employee, student athletes. I promise you. You do not want to be an employee. You don't want your head coach to have a team meeting in week 4 of the season and say, you're not what I paid for. You're not what I wanted. I'm going to pull your $4 million. I'm going to pull your starting job. I'm going to pull your scholarship. I'm going to send your ass home. You don't want that. You don't want your coach to come to you mid-season and go, you're not my starting cornerback. You're not even my third string cornerback. Get off my team. Go home. Pound salt. Screw you. You don't want that. But that's where you're heading. You're heading to a place of employment. And employees can be fired without cause. You have to understand that. You got to understand, coaches have been dirty. Coaches make promises they don't keep, but now players make promises they don't keep. And the last time I checked, two wrongs don't make a right. So you got, well, they do it, so I'm going to do it. Now, how does that work in relationships? She called me a name, so I'm going to call her a name. How's that going to work out for you? Let's call reality what it is. There's no parameters. I wrote an article. If you don't put a fence around the horses, you're going to be chasing them down every single night. All the NCAA is right now is a bunch of wild horses. And you're not going to catch them all. You're not going to tame them all. You're not going to be able to bring them all back to the farm. So keep doing what you're doing, NCAA. My prediction was made true. I wanted to be wrong. I wanted to be wrong. And because of your inability to see the error of your ways, there is no more collegiate athletics. It's just a warped, twisted, lawless form of professional athletics. We'll take a step aside. We'll wrap it up after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the Whole Frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life. That's a very, very different experience than you will have at any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there, and of course you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100, and also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying, in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carousel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carousel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks coming to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York is your one-stop sports card and trading card shop. Find GG Cards and Breaks open, Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and on Sundays from 10 to 5. You will find hockey, soccer, basketball, baseball, and football, as well as Disney Lorcana, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Magic the Gathering, and Pokemon while supplies last. They've been getting in a ton of product, and you do not want to miss a second of it. So head out there this week, let them know that DT sent you, and go be a big kid and have some fun. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life, we are inside of the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, and we're talking about this NIL stuff, and you know what? God always comes on time. And so here's something I'd like to share with you. There is a quarterback, and his name is Rocco Becht. And Rocco Becht, the Iowa State quarterback, is using his NIL earnings to donate entertainment consoles to pediatric rooms at Mary Greeley Medical Center in Ames, Iowa this week. Taking his NIL money to bring entertainment consoles to pediatric rooms so that kids can do something fun, have something to take their mind off of it, and enjoy life while being in that hospital bed. Murph, there is good in this world. There is God in this world. And even those things that can be used for bad can be used for good. So shout out to Rocco for taking his NIL money, and instead of hoarding it and making it all about him, he's going to a place that needs to have something positive, something good, and he's giving.
Good for him. I mean, those are the types of stories that you love to hear when guys will do that, and you don't hear about it enough. I think there's plenty that do things like that, but you never hear about it. You only hear about the negative things that people do. So when you hear a positive story like that, and somebody who's being selfless the way he is, it's just amazing to see, and good for him for being willing to do that.
Yeah. So a shout out. That's what we do here on Wake Up Call. If we got to talk about something tough, we got to talk about something difficult that's got some negativity to it, we spin it to a positive. So you can all be redeemed, but only through the great Redeemer. We thank you for tuning into this show. Murph, I thank you as always. Next week, Murph and I are going to have an awesome broadcast for you on April 28th. It's all sports cards, and Murph is usually the one that is putting that money out there and buying all types of stuff. Well, your boy came prepared. Next week on the show, Illusions Premier Box 2024, Playoff 2021 Blaster Box, and one autograph for the 2025 class here in the Heat Seeker edition of Pulse On-Card Auto. Murph, I've outdone myself.
Unfortunately, I'm not going to have any boxes to break, but I'll have a lot of cool cards to show off. And I know we kind of set that aside to make sure that we can talk a little bit about, how everything works with sports cards. So I'm really looking forward to that, man.
Yeah, so that'll be coming up momentarily next week for you. So in just a little while, April 28th, you'll have some fun with that. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, Murph, thanks for being a part of the show.
You got it.
So that coming from Murph here on Wake Up Call. I want to thank y'all for tuning in Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're with us on these channels, thank you for being with us Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. I also want to give a special thanks to all of you that are with us on our many outlets. You can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, Podchaser.com, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube, as well as more. All you got to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. Download us, save us, keep us in your pocket wherever you go. Of course, from New York to North Carolina, we thank the Brooklyn Pickle from Southern Pines, 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. You will find the Brooklyn Pickle right there for you down the road from Pinehurst Golf Course. We look forward to seeing you there very soon, and make sure that you let them know that DT sent you. And of course, a big time thanks to all of our partners in Central and Upstate New York. Want to give a very special thanks to Great Lakes Honda City, as well as Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Brakes. Want to show them some love as well as Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's Mother's Covered, Servomation, as well as Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Pizza Man, and Brian's Landing. And of course, we are the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Le Moyne College Dolphins. It's Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Dolphins every Wednesday during Dolphin Time at 9 a.m. Eastern Time, where sports meets life. You'll find student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni right here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. So make sure you check out the Dolphins on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Le Moyne playlist. You'll also find the Dolphins by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LeMoyneDolphins.com, and as always, Fins Up. The Bryan and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find the Bobcat Buzz every single month with student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining me here on Wake Up Call. You'll find all of our content by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. You'll also find the Bobcats on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single Tuesday during Bearcat Time at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, featuring student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining me right here where sports truly meets that thing called life. The Bearcats are with us on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our Binghamton playlist. You'll also find your Bearcats by going to wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call, I thank you for tuning in inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Facebook, be there 24/7. That's right there. 25/8, I should say. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at wakeupcall_DT, and of course, we're on wakeupcalldt.com, where everything is in one easy place, and you can also go to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For now, from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, I say God bless, no stress, do your best. May God forgive us all of our sins in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, and may God make us anew in Him. I love you all. God bless. Stay well and stay safe.